Hey, this third week of our series, we finished off with this idea of repeating positive soundtracks until they get embedded in our soul. There are a lot of spiritual disciplines that help you repeat positive soundtracks, like Bible reading or prayer. But the one that stands above them all is something the Bible calls meditation. And the Hebrew word for meditate could be translated as mumble. Yeah, mumble. Like, you do this when you're having an argument with someone in the car, but they're not in the car with you. Yeah, you just, I said, or if you're listening to a song, kind of going through your house, it's playing in the background, or you got earphones on, maybe you're at the gym, and you're kind of not really singing, but kind of singing the words. That's mumbling. You're repeating a soundtrack subvocally. You know when we do that best is through meditation of Scripture. When we memorize Scripture. It's kind of a lost art, so we're going to practice it together as we memorize right now together Psalm 139, verses 13 through 14. Okay, we're going to memorize together Psalm 139, verses 13 and 14. But I always memorize standing up because the more my body is engaged, the quicker my mind can absorb. So I'm going to invite you, come on, you can do this. If you can stand up with me right now. Get in your fighting stance for Psalm 139, 13 and 14. As we go through this, I'm going to give you several kind of tips and tricks for memorizing. You think you can't, I promise you, you can memorize. Let's do this together. Tip number 1, repeat it until you can't say it any other way. So I just take one line at a time and I say it out loud. For you formed my inward parts. Say that with me. For you formed my inward parts. For you formed my inward parts. For you formed my inward parts. Faster. For you formed my inward parts. For you formed my inward parts. For you formed my inward parts. I know that's silly. You get tongue twisted, but you're creating a rhythm in your brain, creating like a track, a soundtrack that you can only go down that one track. One more time. For you formed my inward parts. For you formed my inward parts. Now, I want to ask you to add 2 hand gestures for this one line so that you can't do it any other way. You formed. I'm thinking about clay forming in your hands. You just take your hands and squeeze them together. For you formed my inward parts. For you formed my inward parts. I'm pointing to my heart. For you formed my inward parts. 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 Try to say it some other way. You can't now, can you? See, this works. Okay, next line. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I don't have a womb, so I'm going to leave my hands open. But you knitted, I don't know if this is proper knitting stance, but you knitted me together in my mother's womb. 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 Let's put those 2 together. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. One more time. For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. Okay, watch this. This is really quite amazing. I want you to do the hand motions with me, but don't think about the words. You ready? I said, don't think about the words. Okay, try it again. I said, don't think about the words. See, you can't. That's the power of the hand gestures. It is so powerful. So now, if you're in an elevator and you want to memorize or talk through the scriptures, you can grumble the scriptures. You can just do this. No one will have any idea what's really going on. Okay, you ready for the next line? We have this first verse where we're saying, for you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. By the way, I've not memorized this before, so this is new for me. The second kind of stanza is, I praise you. I'm just going to do this. I praise you. for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Fearfully, wonderfully, fearfully, wonderfully, fearfully, wonderfully, fearfully, wonderfully, fearfully. It's kind of like a dance. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Again, for I praise you, for I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Put it all together without a word. Did you get it? Let's say it out loud. For you formed my inward parts. Is that right? See, this is what happens to me all the time. You kind of get it wrong. You got to go back and read it again. So, for you formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. So those are two stanzas. I'm going to think for. This is how you start. For you formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. That's stanza 1. Then we go up here. So if you're going to put the whole thing together, just get the structure. For, that's how we begin. For you formed my inward parts. The second stanza is, I praise you, for I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. The last stanza is this: wonderful are your works. So we're coming off of fearfully and wonderfully made. We're going to stay here, wonderfully made. Wonderful, I get real expressive and exaggerate. Wonderful are your works. So we got 3 W's in a row. Wonderfully made, wonderful are your works. So just kind of a W fest right here. My soul knows it well. So where's it going? I'm going to point. This will be really subtle. I'm going to point to my foot and then point to my head. Why? My soul knows it very well. My soul knows it very well. My soul knows it very well. Okay, let's try that last stanza. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Still a little sketchy, I get it. Typically, you have to memorize a verse 3 days in a row. You'll have it by the end of tonight, but tomorrow you'll forget it. You'll have to review it, but the third day, it'll just take seconds. Let's try it from the top. Are you ready? I'm going to start with for, then go to praise, and then wonderful. So that's how the 3 stanzas begin. For, praise, wonderful. From the top. For you formed my inward parts. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. Well done. Let's talk about this.